Hello everyone and welcome to another Top 5 Records video, and today I'm going to dive into a very interesting comparison. Namely, I'm going to compare 4 different versions of this beautiful masterpiece by Pink Floyd, The Piper at the Gates of Dawn. How am I going to hold it? Yeah, a beautiful, beautiful album. Now, what am I having here? I have 2016 Bernie Grundman version, a 2022 mono Bernie Grundman version. I have a 1967 UK stereo and a 1969 German stereo with UK stampers. Now, I'm gonna follow it in the way that I initially came to this record, because I listened to it digitally first. When I started listening to Pink Floyd, I had MP3 files, and then I got into vinyl, and I had to have this on vinyl. And then there was this 2016 release. This was a very hard and tough to find album, and I was very happy that I could actually find an afford one for about $20. And this is the 2016 Bernie Grundman pressing. They beautifully did the label in the blue Columbia style, and this is, especially for its budget, an interesting and beautiful pressing. Now, there have been some complaints about it. Namely, this is a digital master, and the digital master tapes have been used. Now, having said that, the mastering engineer is Bernie Grundman. And Bernie Grundman is one of the best mastering engineers around. And that leads to a very interesting record, because, well, it is digital. This is a digital vinyl. But it's mastered by a very, very good, one of the best mastering engineers. So the first time I put this on, I was blown away, because I was used to digital versions of this album, and this was a very beautiful digital version on vinyl. And the vinyl, for me, added up. It is not a bad pressing. Not a bad pressing. But digital. So does it have the dynamic range? Does it have the amount of detail that we're going to find in other pressings? Nah. So, what I found later on, about a year or two ago, in Germany, in Münster, I found a second German stereo from 1969. And you don't often find 60s pressings of this album, so I immediately bought it. And I paid about 17 or 18 euros for it, which is, it's nothing, especially for this beautiful record. And this has the same stampers as a British one. So that is interesting. And I put this one on, and compared to the Bernie Grundman one, the 2016 stereo one, this stereo one is amazing. I mean, the other one is good. This is amazing. It has a better defined guitar with way more body. It is challenging. You can notice that it has rougher edges. Something is going on. It is a very beautifully defined orchestration of chaos, and I find it a very, very interesting, beautiful and clean pressing. The highs are much better than the Bernie Grundman one. The vocals are noticeably much cleaner and clearer. It has overall a way better defined sound. It sounds cleaner. It sounds fresher. Nevertheless, I did not notice a lot of bass. And I thought that might be the case with the pressing, but overall, this does not seem to be a very bassy album. Sorry, Roger Waters. Now I'm going to compare this to a 1969 stereo one. And these ones are very hard to find, and this one is officially not a first pressing. What I'm holding here is a 1969 version with the blue Columbia label. But officially this is not the first pressing, because according to Discogs, when you have a first one, and this does have the flip full thing, you do not have to have filed under here. Then you have an official first pressing. But the stampers, it has the same matrix numbers. So you have the same matrix numbers, the same year of release, 1967. same factories, same label, only a little difference on here. Now, perhaps I'm wrong, because I have not compared this one to an official first pressing, but I have done interesting comparisons between albums which have been pressed in the same year, with the same stampers, at the same factory. For example, I've done that with Mingus. I compared a mono one. Same year, same stampers, same matrix numbers, same mastering engineer, everything the same. I could not hear a difference. So this, according to my book, should sound the same as an official first one. As a matter of fact, since it is pressed in the same year, what is the difference to a first one? Nevertheless, if anyone has a comparison and can show me the difference or show me otherwise, please leave a response below. But nevertheless, compare this, the German one, the second German one, with the same stampers to this one. It's clearly a situation of the same stampers. It is pretty comparable to the German one. Same mastering, same stampers, you know. But, and this is very interesting, this British pressing, it sounds fuller. Even fuller than a German one, which is already pretty full. It has more punch. It is pressed louder. And it has an incredible, brilliant definition. This is a gorgeous pressing. It is gorgeous pressing. So what's going on? I mean, these are the same stampers. They have the same stampers. I guess this is just a case in which the stampers have been... the stampers sound a little less sparkling and a little less fresh over the years. Perhaps the German factory pressing plant is a little bit less, the final quality is a little bit less. We're talking about minor differences. Nevertheless, this one is a clear winner. It's gorgeous, it's brilliant. So I am interested in what happens to stampers, because I have situations with beautiful sounding stampers pressed on very good vinyl a couple of years after these stampers were made. So I'm not sure how these things go, but if you find one of these and you can afford it, go ahead and buy one. Usually these are a lot more expensive than a second German pressing. And for the 18 euros I paid for that one, I mean, it's a more than good alternative. It is brilliant, it's gorgeous. Nevertheless, this is a beautiful, orchestrated, chaotic experience with a beautiful full sound. Not too much bass, but just as I said, I don't think this is really Roger Waters' album. Now I'm gonna do something different, because of these stereo pressings, I clearly say go for the German one, or if you can afford it, go for a 1967 British one. It will blow your head off. It is beautiful. But I wanted to add another element to the mix, and that is the 2022 Mono master by Bernie Grundman, but this time, at least according to the hype sticker, it was mastered from the original analogue tapes by Bernie Grundman. And something interesting happens. This is not an expensive pressing, but it definitely has a focus on quality. It is definitely something that a lot of effort has been put into. Getting this on mono is interesting. It is not pressed as loud as any of the other pressings, so you really have to crank up the volume. But it's clearly a different mix, not only in the regard between stereo and mono, because, well, my experience is that songs like Astronomy Domine, with the small voices to the right and the guitar starting left, and the dynamic difference between left and right make it this beautiful psychedelic chaotic experience. The mono does not have that. There is a very different attitude towards that mix. It's more centered, obviously, because it's mono, but it's also more... it is somewhat cleaner. It's not as chaotic. It is a very structured mix, which makes it easier to listen, but I prefer the chaotic idea behind the stereo. Nevertheless, there is something going on in the definition of this. It has a very deep, beautiful sound, a very, very interesting definition. There is a very, in the midst there are some interesting things going on. Perhaps it's even better defined. I hear, but it's tough to say because they are complete different mixes. The sound, the quality of the sound, the reverb, the volumes of, for example, of the voices, of the backing vocals, I did not notice. I did not clearly notice backing vocals on the stereo. I have a very clear idea of the backing vocals here, and they do something different. The combination makes something else. I hear other sound effects. I hear other reverbs on the guitars. This version feels cleaner. It feels some sounds are more shaped, better thought about, and it's a very concentrated mix. My advice: go out and find one for yourself, because my personal experience is the stereo is better because I prefer the chaos, but the mono mix offers something the stereo mix does not. A very brilliantly thought out, beautifully, craftfully mixed mono version with a very different approach, and this alters the DNA of the album. It is a different album in mono. So go ahead and buy this one, especially for this price. I mean, I'm never gonna do this, throw this away, and I'm gonna listen to it on different occasions than on the stereo situation. 2 different versions of an album, really. Now, that is my take on The Piper at the Gates of Dawn. Do you agree? Do you disagree? Leave a comment below, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye.